Hey guys, Scott here, and today I want to talk about I don't want to say a problem because it results in better entertainment for my stream, but a fair problem that I've sort of run into playing Survivor in DBD. And it's due to how the MMR system works, just based on solely escapes and stuff like that. And I want to go over my experiences and how I think it is really unpleasant for certain killers that I'm going against. So I've entered this loop basically where my MMR for Survivor is undoubtedly low because I do very dumb things. I will try to, save against the face camping Leatherface. I will try to, get aggro off someone who's on death hook, even if it means I'm going to take a chainsaw to the back or something like that. I will try to do very selfless, dumb things because, if someone's getting face camped, it means I've just been repairing gens the entire match, which for my stream is very boring to watch. For me personally, it's just boring to do. So I'm going to try to do brave things just because I would like to exhibit any type of skill I have in this game. Now, I'm not saying, I'm a master survivor like Survivor mains or anything like that. I'm certainly a killer main, but I'm definitely above average as Survivor. I'm really not bad. And the killers that I'm going against, again, this is all assuming the MMR works correctly, which half the time due to queue times, it doesn't even match make properly. But the times that it does, I'm going against a lot of baby killers, like a lot of really new killers, and it's because of the playstyle that I have. I tend to play the game in a very selfless way, and even if I am torturing the killer for 5 minutes straight, it doesn't really matter because I'm the type of player that makes sure that everybody else gets out, and that type of playstyle is not really supported by the MMR system. And it's not like I'm intentionally sandbagging or anything like that. I'm not just going and teabagging at the killer and letting him kill me. I'm genuinely trying to save my teammates. Like, you can go watch any game of Survivor I played. I really actually do try to help my entire team. So I'm not intentionally sandbagging or smurfing or anything like that. Just my natural playstyle results in me having lower MMR because I try to do a selfless, sacrificial 1-for-1 at the end of the game and stuff like that. That's just how I enjoy playing. That's how I've been playing Survivor since I started playing this game. I've always done that. So that type of playstyle is not accounted for. And when that happens, I'm going to die, and I'm going against, theoretically, if the system works, I'm going against even worse killers who I then, tortured the entire game, and then they eventually get me. And the problem is, as I keep dying because of if I run the killer for the entire game, he's having a miserable time. But let's say that that doesn't happen. Let's say the killer chases, a teammate and then just face camps the teammate at the end of the game. I'm still probably going to die because I'm going to go try 1-for-1ing with that teammate. So in both of these scenarios, I sort of end up dying, even though I'm not really doing anything bad. And in fact, a lot of times I'm running the killer for the entire game. But even in games where I'm not occupying the killer, I still might end up dying because no one else is going to go for a save but me at that point. So in both scenarios, my MMR ends up lowering, and I get into this cycle where, okay, now I'm torturing killers that are just simply way worse than me because I shouldn't be going against them. And if they, when they do catch him, because if a killer wants to catch you, he will eventually catch you. It might take the entire match, but he will eventually catch you. So when I do eventually get caught, now I'm in the scenario where, because my MMR has lowered, my teammates are way too scared to try to come save against the killer that's face camping. They don't really know how to do it, which makes me die on the first hook, which makes my MMR go even lower, which makes me torture even more killers, which makes me die even quicker because my teammates are even newer, and you can see this cycle of me just being in this scenario where basically all I'm doing now is just torturing new killers and eventually dying and just going against worse and worse players over and over again. And like I said, for entertainment value for my stream, it's great. But from a, this is fair perspective, it's not fair at all. Like, I think killers would prefer the feeling of doing well and losing over getting destroyed and embarrassed the entire match and getting one kill out of it or getting one hook out of it. That's just my opinion. Maybe that's not true, but I'm pretty sure killers don't want to feel like they're getting absolutely bullied and destroyed. And that's what's been happening because of how the system works. And it's sort of just because it's based solely on the escapes and stuff like that. That's really the only metric. Like, if you compare it to there's a really interesting point. If you compare it to another game, DBD is the only game where you can advance the win condition for your team and still have a personal loss for yourself. Think about that for any other game. You can't really do that in most other games with team-based MMR, right? If you think of Dota, for example. If you were destroying the other team, you're 30-0. Because of this, your entire team is 10 levels above the other team. Even at, in the last minute or two of the match, if you start dicking around and just, doing really stupid stuff for the hell of it, just trying to fountain dive and see what you can do, because why not? It doesn't really matter at that point. You can't suddenly just get a loss now. You've already advanced the match way too much for your team to be able to, you've already made your team win. You can't try to like sandbag at the end or smurf at the end. You've already done too much. Your team is going to win really regardless of whether you do anything silly or not at that point. Like Counter-Strike too. If you're 30-0, you're acing the team every match. If you go knife only for the last couple of rounds, your team's probably still going to win. It doesn't matter. You've already done too much to advance the game for your team. And you can't just go back on that. In DBD, you can torture the killer all game, and then you can literally choose to just lower your MMR. You can just sit in the match until the end game collapse kills you. And there are not many other games where you can do that. And the sad part is that can happen without you intentionally smurfing. It's sort of the case with how I play. I'm not intentionally smurfing, but that's just how my play style makes the results. That's just what happens. Now, to Behavior's credit, in their last Q&A, they have talked about a team-based MMR, which has its own positives and negatives as well. The obvious negatives of team-based MMR are, if you're in this scenario like me, you're probably going to be having bad teammates. And if you have bad teammates in an asymmetrical game like this, you're going to lose. Like, you're not going to get out. So the blame will now shift from that to, okay, I'm low MMR because my teammates are bad. That'll be the new thing. And it's a shitty feeling. As someone who played Dota for a decade, losing because your team is bad is, when you're trying to win and you care about getting your MMR higher, it's very, very annoying. You can be the best player in the world. If your 4 teammates are just throwing themselves at the other heroes and stuff like that, you're still going to lose. So that is the huge negative side to a team-based MMR. Now, the positive side is it will actually rectify a lot of the issues I'm talking about here. That whole unintentional smurfing issue is not really going to be a thing anymore, because if I do run the killer for 5 gens, I will have contributed so much to the team winning that even if I die, it doesn't matter. I'm the reason our team won, so we're still all going to get a win. Now, the obvious other downside of that is too, my teammates could be terrible, and because I did good, they get a win as well, so they don't really deserve it. So there's definitely pluses and minuses to it. It's not a foolproof system. I think none of this should be the case regardless, but we have to obviously work with what we have. All that being said, Behavior, forgive me for being cynical about Behavior. They said they're entertaining the possibility of having a team-based MMR, which could mean anything from we'll have it in a PTB 6 months from now to we're just not doing it. There's no possible way to know what they're actually going to do, if they're going to do it whatsoever, how long it's going to take. I'm just talking about the game in its current state and how MMR has been since its inception. That's how it currently is. Talking about what could be is pointless because DBD could be a perfectly balanced game. Wow. There's no point. We need to talk about the game as it exists right now. And as it exists right now, I do believe this is a problem. I don't think it's fair. Like I said, if I was being selfish about it, I'd be happy because it would mean I get to bully baby killers. I get to look like a god in front of my stream. It's really just objectively a good thing for me. But I have to acknowledge, and I even try to make it clear in my stream, that it's not fair. I'm not going to run in there and go easy on the killer and just get hit, because I just intentionally getting hit. It's not fun. I don't know. I still want to play my best while I'm playing Survivor. I still want to try to survive. But it's to a point where it really doesn't feel fair anymore. Every once in a while, I'll randomly get a good killer, and I think that's when the MMR, the matchmaking, causes the system to just go haywire and just not work whatsoever, which does happen quite a bit. But the majority of my games, I'm genuinely going against really new players, and I think it's incredibly unfair. I don't think that should be happening. And if you have a playstyle like mine where you play a bit more selfless, it will inevitably happen. And you get into this loop where because you're dying, you get worse teammates, which causes you to die even more, even if you get the killer run for 5 gens, because they're not going to save you if they're face camping, which makes you get even lower, and then you get lower. It's a vicious cycle of you just getting low MMR and then having a scenario where you're just torturing the killer but still dying. So no one's happy in that scenario. I feel like the killer's having a shitty time. I guess you're having a good time if you're styling on the killer, but it's not a good thing. It's not something to be proud of. So that's been my experience with Survivor lately. It's been kind of it's been pleasant but really unfair, and I just wanted to talk about that. But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I just woke up. Shut up.